Welcome to the CL Brown Show. I am your host, CL Brown, columnist with the Louisville Courier-Journal. On this episode, I welcome University of Louisville defensive end Clev Lubin. Going to talk to him about how he celebrates sacks, and we're going to discuss his journey, which started at Army at West Point in 2022, and how he got to Louisville three schools later. We're going to discuss in this episode how numbers do lie. At least numbers are taken way out of context sometimes. And I thought about this watching some of the coverage after Ohio State beat Texas. Obviously, Texas was preseason number one, and a lot of that had to do with Arch Manning, the young nephew of Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, and is part of the whole Manning lineage at quarterback. He had a bad game. He making his first start on the road at Ohio State, which was number three preseason and defending national champions. There's not a lot of guys that are going to go into Columbus and shine offensively at quarterback in that situation. But one of the things that they said on the on subsequent analysts, subsequent football shows, highlight shows, they basically had a stat that 37% of Arch Manning's passes were off target, meaning uncatchable, not necessarily meaning that they were. It's not the stat that he threw 37% incompletions. It's that 37% of his balls thrown were uncatchable. And it was the worst ranking out of a Texas quarterback in the last 10 years. So that's the part I want to hone in on. That being the worst percentage of a Texas quarterback making their first start in the last 10 years. Let's look back at who Texas has played in opening games over the last 10 years. And you tell me if they compare to playing at the shoe at Ohio State against the defending national champions. In 2024, Texas beat Colorado State 52 to nothing. 2023, Texas beats Rice 37-10. 2022, kind of combining the two scores, they beat Louisiana Monroe 52 to 10. 2021, they beat Louisiana Lafayette 38-18. In 2020, they beat UTEP 59 to 3. 2019, they beat Louisiana Tech 45 to 14. So you're starting to get the picture here, right? Like these teams that these other quarterbacks played, they were not like playing Ohio State. So there's no comparison to be made on having a high percentage of uncatchable passes thrown because you're not having the same pressure. You're not being chased by linemen that are certainly to be drafted in the NFL in their near future. Now, two of the losses that they had, they ended up playing Maryland 2 of those years, and they lost both of those games, ironically, to the Terrapins, but it wasn't because of the passing game. They scored 29 and 41 points, respectively, and they played Notre Dame twice. They opened with Notre Dame twice. If you ask me, Notre Dame, that's the only comparable measure you can make. Those two games that they played against Notre Dame back in 2016 and 2015, if you're going to talk about what Arch Manning did and how it's the worst start of a starting Texas quarterback. Now, I'm not a Texas fan and never really particularly been a fan of the Mannings, like some teams they played on here and there, but I'm not up here just being a cheerleader for Arch Manning. And how he started the season probably won't be how he finishes it. I think he's potentially going to be a good quarterback. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be a great quarterback, but I just thought this was misrepresented and he had a bad game. Pretty much so did the rest of his team, and it was still just a 14-7 loss, and they had the ball with a chance to try and tie it late in that game. So you got to take all things You got to consider all factors. You definitely have to consider the context. So that will do it for CL Sounds Off. Now let's move into this interview. And now joining the show, I have Clev Luben, defensive end for the University of Louisville. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You have an interesting story, an interesting journey to getting to Louisville. I want to start there and going back to the beginning. Gatorade High School Player of the Year in the state of New York in 2022.
2021.
2021.
Yeah.
Did you feel at all slighted or underappreciated with the offers that you were getting at that time?
Yeah, especially because you got to understand during that year, the end of my junior year was COVID, that 2020 March area. That's when my recruitment started to build up a little bit. I had just finished basketball season, went on unofficial to Rutgers, knew I had a senior year ahead of me that I was expecting to do big things, and obviously that got pushed back. And looking at the landscape of the offers that I had, I ended up deciding to go to West Point because I felt like outside at the time, West Point was playing their best brand of football. They were top 25. Brought in Coach Woody, the old DC from Michigan, who's now the DC there, and I feel like they had a lot of things that intrigued me to actually go there. So at that time, being young, that was the decision I decided to make.
Yeah, and you were redshirt that year.
Right? So out of high school, when I graduated 2021, I went to their prep school. So West Point is a prep school. I did a year there. Then I did a year at the academy, and that's when my clock started and I redshirted.
Okay, gotcha. Now, what made you leave there? Because you just built it up. The talk was like, this is going to be a good fit.
So all in all, when I got there, I thought, being in the Army was possibly something I could do, but I was struggling there academically. I wasn't really happy with myself while I was there. But if it was just football, I think I enjoyed the program. I loved what the coaches had to offer and the things and the culture of the Army-Navy game and stuff like that. Some of those things really excited me. But and they had changed the rule that you couldn't go to the NFL straight from West Point anymore. You'd have to do your time first.
Oh yeah.
So being young and at that time, not signing my commission, I decided that I was going to leave, and then ended up going to a JUCO.
Yes. What was that year like in Iowa? It was Iowa Western.
Iowa Western, best JUCO in the nation, baby, go Reavers. But honestly, it was the biggest blessing for me. The transitioning from West Point to JUCO was definitely a hard transition, being the fact that I'm at one of the highest of the highs, prestigious academy, great brand of football, and a lot of great things going on at the place that I was at, and then going to a JUCO where there's a lot of uncertainty and not knowing what could happen next. But for me, it was really just taking a chance and an opportunity on myself, knowing what I've always wanted to do as a kid, what aspirations I had. And so I knew going JUCO was going to give me an opportunity to get recruited again and go play at a high level. And so when I went there, I did a lot, I got closer to my faith, just started playing a better brand of football, continued to build on my game, had one of the best D-line coaches in JUCO, probably could be one of the best D-line coaches in the country once he makes that jump in there. And Coach Aaron Terry. One guy, just held everyone to a high standard, didn't let it slip up, knew we had to practice hard to get to the places we wanted to be, and we had lots of guys go on from that team to go play at big schools. So he does a good job with us.
National championship there, right?
Yeah, big national championship. Got a lot of guys playing big college ball right now. So he does a great job at that.
So are any of your former teammates there in the ACC? Might you play them?
We actually played Virginia Tech. My buddy Kamari Copeland, who actually I've been on this journey with for a long time. So we went to West Point Prep together.
Oh. Okay.
Then we redshirted together. Wow. Well, he played. He didn't redshirt, but we were there together that freshman year. He's ultimately the reason I went to Iowa Western. So he had left in the winter, and then I decided to leave in the spring. And I knew I needed to go to a JUCO just with what my grades were at West Point, how I was struggling. So he told me, he got me in contact with Coach Terry, and he was just talking it up. He was like, we could really do this thing. So we both decided. He ultimately helped me get there, and the rest is history. He's at Virginia Tech. Cool. He didn't get to play last year because of an injury, but I'm expecting big things from him this year. We also have another Reaver who I didn't play with, but Jordan Vanderberg on Georgia Tech. He's also a Reaver. So we got a lot of guys in the ACC ready to go on, dominate, and do big things and represent our JUCO.
Yeah, no doubt. So, were you, before ultimately deciding on Coastal Carolina, how many offers did you have at the end of JUCO?
At the end of JUCO, I feel like I should have had way more than what I did have. I think I performed at a high level at JUCO. I think my tape popped off the screen when you watched it, but I think I had about like 10, 15. Again, a lot of like the same offers I had coming out of high school. Those schools trying to re-recruit me. A few Sun Belt, a few AAC. I ultimately decided Coastal because I felt like they had a good program, and a lot of good players have gone through there, and that played my decision. Like Miles Stewart, I don't remember his name, but he ended up going to Michigan after a good year. Isaiah Likely went to Coastal, you know what I mean? Grayson McCall. So I was like, this is a good program where I continue to build my name and my brand as a football player.
Plus, Conway, South Carolina isn't that far from the beach.
Yeah, it's not a bad location.
Right. So, were you the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year?
No, I think Mike Green won that.
Okay, yeah. I remember you having some weeks where you were Sun Belt
Defensive
Player.
I won it for a week, but I'm pretty sure Defensive Player of the Year went to Mike Green.
Okay.
Rightfully so.
My fault. I'm not trying to.
All good. He had a good year, so.
No doubt. Well, at Coastal, though, because I kind of get the sense maybe you played with a bit of a chip on your shoulder. Like you still feel like you got something to prove.
100%. I think I'm one of the best defensive players in the country, honestly, not just at my position. So my thing is just like, I have this belief in myself. I just got to go out and make everyone else in the world believe it.
Yeah. So why Louisville? What brought you to this program when you entered the transfer portal from Coastal?
For me, it was just the opportunity of winning. And when you look at what Coach Brown has done with this program in the last 3 years, what he was able to do at Purdue, he's done a lot of winning, obviously, bringing Purdue to a Big Ten championship and winning that, bringing Louisville to ACC championship. And last year they had a lot of close games that could have went either way, and you don't know how the season could have been way different. But I feel like they were bringing in the pieces. I wanted to come somewhere with an established offense. When you have a team that could put up points and you can play ahead, that's when players like me get to shine the most, get to get after the quarterback, make rough decisions, put pressure on him, and just make it a long day for him.
Was there anything specific about the way that he would use, Ron English, defense coordinator, would use you at defensive end that also enticed you?
Yeah, like I knew this pack has been aggressive even before this staff got here with like Yaya, and then what they were able to do with Ashton and Ramon. I just knew a program like this is going to continue to bring pressure. They're always up there in the past few years in pressures. And that's one thing that Coach Hagan did a great job of when he brought me in, just showing me the proof. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of places when they recruit you, sometimes it's about logo and who they used to have and what they did this. A lot of it was what they did as a staff, as a unit. And I felt like coming here and being part of a defense that had a lot to replace and have a lot of expectations. Sometimes you gotta love being under pressure and knowing that when the light's on you a little bit more, it amps you up to play a little bit better.
Now, Saturday's game against Eastern Kentucky, 2 sacks. I know when you were at Coastal, you did the Karate Kid crane.
Yeah, I did pull that one out. Yeah, got a flag on that, but that was the last play of the game. I mean, that was the last game. I didn't think it was going to get a flag, but it was a good play. Learn from those.
I was going to say, did you celebrate on the sideline? I didn't see you once you came up.
So I had 2 celebrations. So I have this thing since I went JUCO. Like, I've been doing it. Dice roll just betting on me, just knowing that, you feel me, like, I took an opportunity on myself, and I'm keep rolling the dice until I keep getting there. So that's one that I really like to do. And this other one, so when I was at West Point, I had a buddy who's also, so I'm Haitian, so I have a buddy who was also Haitian. And as a joke, like, he would just call me Superman. Like, so it was a thing that I was like, I really forgot about it, but as I started playing, when I got to Coastal, I started throwing the Z-ups when I made a good play or whatever. So as I got here, I was like, I'm going to make that a little thing for myself, you know what I mean? Like, score a play, rip the chest open, throw the Z's up on the chest. So that's the other one I did for the second one. But many more to come, you know what I mean? J.J. Watt said it best. Sacks are easy to come by. You got to celebrate each one of them.
Yeah. So do you take time to, like, scheme up, like, or is it just something that'll hit you in the moment?
Sometimes it just hits you in the moment. Sometimes you're like, all right, if I get a sack, I might do this one or that one. You know what I mean? Like, as a football player, we got helmets on. You got to be able to entertaining at the same time. We're football players. We pack in like 60, 70K a game. Last week we had 50, so it's just like those people are coming to see some good things, see some excitement. So somehow I could bring that to them.
Yeah. What is it like? What has it been like as a transfer coming in here, like to this locker room? How do you feel like the process of blending in and getting acclimated, just to other players, not even about the playbook yet, but just in how they do things here? What was that process like for you?
It was easy since day one. Like a lot of the guys, like we got good people in the locker room, and I can honestly say that. Like people that'll look out for each other, people want to actually see each other succeed. All of us always clapping each other, but also always critiquing each other on what we can do better. Whether if it's in a joking way, in a serious manner, we know when to tell the difference and when we can help each other just grow in any aspect, whether it's outside of football or in football.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to see many other ACC games over the weekend?
Yeah, definitely some great play. Obviously, the Miami Notre Dame game was a great game last night. Didn't get to obviously we didn't get to watch the Florida State Alabama game because we were playing. What other team? I watched the Georgia
Virginia
Tech
Tech?
game. Yeah, I didn't.
Yes,
We
sir.
were practicing yesterday,
Okay,
so I
okay.
didn't get to watch my buddy. I believe he had a half sack in the TFL. So he's gonna make some noise in the ACC. Watch the Georgia Tech game. That was a good game.
Yeah. Were you surprised by anything, maybe Florida State, especially, but or
I
was this
wouldn't.
what you expected out of the ACC?
I knew the ACC was going to be a big conference. I wouldn't say the Florida State Alabama game was a surprise to me. I felt like Florida State definitely had something to prove, especially the way their season ended last year. I don't think no one's, especially like with the coach they have, like he's known for doing well at that program at least, and that program is known for being a great program. So I know they were going to be able to turn the page. I didn't expect it to be that far of a game, you know what I mean, as points wise, but I had a feeling that that game could have went either each way. And honestly, the ACC is full of guys like the new transfer portal. There isn't just one big program over the other. Uh, no matter what people say, when you watch games, when you watch the tape, it's like a lot of these guys compete with anyone, and a lot of these guys have played. A lot of guys in the ACC probably played in the SEC, probably played in the Big Ten. So it's just like where the landscape of college football, it's any conference can really take it all.
Do you watch games also with the lens of like what you could do in such a certain
Yeah,
situation
to a
or
certain
anything like that?
aspect, you know what I mean. You see an edge hit a good move on a tackle that you might have to play. You're like, okay, that works. So might add that for the bag. Practice that when that week comes up. Obviously, you get to watch film, so seeing that helps. But mostly, I just watch as a fan. You know what I mean? When it's film time, then it's film time. But like sometimes when you're watching football, you're just watching it.
Yeah, yeah. You guys have James Madison coming up on Friday. What's your early thoughts, scouting reports on JMU?
Like I said, I got to play them, so I know they're going to be a good team. Uh, but we just got to come out, compete, be ourselves, limit what they do well, which is just trying to disguise things, run the ball in different ways, use their quarterback to run, bring in a second quarterback to give up a different look. They got big wide receivers, like to throw the ball deep, long ball. They're good at protection. So just challenging them, making the quarterback feel uncomfortable, just getting it after in all facets of the game.
All right, and I'll let you leave out on this. Louisville, obviously under Coach Brom, is known as an offensive kind of team. What is it going to take to make people talk about the defense this year?
Uh, just show up every Friday and Saturday, and you'll get to find out.
All right. He is Clev Luben. I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now it's time for pickup lines. Your favorite weekly picks against the spread in week one. I went 2-3. Kind of got lucky on the Kentucky game. The line that it opened, the line that I was using was 7.5 before it moved and went up. And obviously the Wildcats won by 8. So that covered. Got unlucky in U of L's game because I didn't know Jeff Brown was going to pull his starting quarterback at the end of one half. And Louisville ended up not covering that. But going to try and do better in week two, starting with Louisville hosting James Madison. The Cards are a 14-point favorite in the game. even if he pulls starters earlier this game, which I don't expect because James Madison will be a bit way more formidable than Eastern Kentucky was, as they should because Eastern Kentucky plays on football championship subdivision. So what happened last week was to be expected. But nevertheless, 14 points at home, Friday night game, which tend to be kind of hype in L&N Stadium. Well, way before it was even called L&N Stadium. I got to go with the Cards to cover that 14. I think the offense looked good as what they played four series in the first half with the starters in, and they scored touchdowns on every series. They look pretty sharp. Still waiting to see what that 2 minute drill is going to look like because they didn't really execute it. That's when the interceptions came. One kind of fluky, one was a pass that sailed too high on Miller Moss and was picked off. But we will see in week two. Moving on to Ole Miss at UK. The Cats are getting 10 points, which kind of seems almost low because of the amount of points we know Lane Kiffin likes to put up. His offenses are always high octane and looking to go. And I think looking back at last year, UK went down to Oxford and won that game. Think the Rebels are going to come in with an axe to grind, even though like half the team transferred in. So it's not like everybody's got a long memory down there of what happened last year. But the way Kentucky looked on offense, if they can run the ball on the Rebels, which I would test that out because they have been soft in the past. They were soft last season against the run, but at some point you got to put the ball in the air, and I'm not sure Kentucky's passing game is up to the test. So let me go with the Rebels, and I'm laying those 10 points. Next, we don't have the marquee games that we had in week one nationally speaking. So what I did, well, we're going to start with one, Michigan at Oklahoma. The Sooners are a 5.5 point favorite at home. And I'm just going with the home favorites. The Sooners, Sooner Boomer. I think OU is kind of rejuvenated. Brent Venables is on the hot seat as a head coach, and this is a game that they need to win. I'm not sure Michigan, with their freshman quarterback making his first road start, that's never a good formula in a big game like this. Just ask Arch Manning about that, right? Making his start last week at Ohio State. So I'm gonna go with the home team, even though I'm not sure the Sooners are necessarily that much of a better team, but they are at home. So Sooner Boomer. Moving on to some games that are critical to the ACC in the larger picture of trying to establish this league this season as deserving of whatever may come in the college football playoff bids, but having multiple teams that have to be considered and have to be in that conversation. So Baylor is at SMU. Baylor is one of the favorites to win the Big 12. They took the loss in week one against Auburn. They are traveling to play SMU. SMU is a 3 point favorite at home. And I'm going to go with the Mustangs. If you look back at that game, Baylor and Auburn last week, I think Baylor had trouble stopping Auburn quarterback Jackson Arnold when he scrambled, when he, even on some of the called runs that they had for him. If they had trouble with him, they're going to have a lot of trouble with Kevin Jennings at SMU. So I'm taking the ponies to roll and represent the ACC. The second battle, Illinois is a 3 point favorite traveling to Duke. And I love taking home dogs, but I just can't in this instance either. I do think Illinois is maybe a tad bit overrated. I know they've got a lot of hype coming into this season, and They are also looked at as possibly a Big Ten favorite, but I'm Duke didn't really look so sharp in the opener. At least early on, they probably had to play their starters a little longer than they wanted to in beating Elon 45-17 in week one. And I'm not sure defensively that Duke has enough to stop the Illini. They are getting a lot of respect though with just a 3-point line here, but I'm gonna go with Illinois. So to wrap it up, I'm taking Louisville, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, SMU, and Illinois. That will do it for pickup lines, and that will conclude another episode of the CL Brown Show. Thank you for tuning in. Please click on those follow buttons to subscribe to the podcast. Please leave a 5-star review because we need more love in this world. If you don't want to do that, you can always catch my columns at courier-journal.com or just sit back, relax, and wait till a new episode drops on Wednesday. Thanks again for tuning in.